Mark Martin once said. I want to talk with you today about serial killers. This group of individuals has fascinated and disgusted us for generations. We can't get enough of their insane acts and deviant ways. Whether it's through movies or through headlines, they make us double check our doors and windows. The United States Congress defines the term serial killings as a series of 3 or more killings, not less than one in which was committed within the United States, having common characteristics such as to suggest the reasonable possibility that the crimes were committed by the same actor or actors. There have been hundreds of serial killers throughout the beginning of time, and at any given time, there are believed to be between 35 to 50 active serial killers in the world. We will just cover a few of the most notorious. We will take a look at the crimes these individuals carried out. We will also look at the myths of serial killers and the makings of a serial killer. The first serial killer we will discuss is Jack the Ripper. He was the first serial killer in the modern sense of the word. He hunted in the Whitechapel area of East London. From August to November of 1888, he killed 5 prostitutes. He cut women's throats, mutilated them, and usually took a part of their body. He never discovered who he actually was. John Wayne Gacy. Gacy liked to dress in a homemade Pogo the Clown outfit to entertain kids. Thought of as a generous, hard-working, charismatic man who was devoted to both his family and his community. Would lure boys into his car by promising them sex or grabbing them by force, covering their face with chloroform-soaked rags until they passed out. From 1972 to 1978, he killed 33 teenage boys and young men, viciously tortured, raped, and murdered them, and stored the bodies in a crawl space under his house. Executed by lethal injection in 1994.
Yay.
The third serial killer we will discuss is Jeffrey Dahmer.
I remember him.
Jeffrey Dahmer was known as the Milwaukee Monster. Most victims were young, homosexual, or bisexual black men. He took photos of each stage of his victim's death, including the sexually explicit acts he performed on his victims at each stage. When arrested, Dahmer had 11 victims' remains in his apartment. During his trial, the list of his crimes were cataloged and included skulls in lockers, cannibalism, sexual urges, drilling holes into the skulls of his living victims, necrophilia, trying to create a shrine out of human remains, lobotomies, defleshing, and taxidermy. Our fourth is Ted Bundy. Ted Bundy was born Theodore Robert Cowell. He was born in a home for unwed mothers in 1946. Not certain who his biological father was, but the family suspected that his father might actually have been his grandfather, Samuel Cowell, who molested Bundy's mother. Ted grew up believing that his mother was his older sister and his grandparents were his parents. Ted's aunt recalls waking up in bed with knives from the kitchen surrounding her and Bundy standing over her smiling at the age of 3.
Snap.
Bundy was a Boy Scout and later a law student. Although not proven, it was believed that he may have killed a person at the age of 14. He admitted to killing 30 people, although the number is believed to be much higher. He was very charismatic, charming, intelligent, and handsome. He would sexually assault and beat his victims to death. Bundy represented himself during his trial, and he was given 2 death sentences and sentenced to the electric chair.
Yeah.
Now that we've discussed a few notorious serial killers, let's look at some of the myths about serial killers. The first myth is that serial killers are all white males. Serial killers span all racial groups. The second myth is that serial killers are only motivated by sex. All serial murderers are not sexually motivated. There are many other motivations for serial murders, including anger, thrill, financial gain, and attention seeking. The second myth is that all serial killers travel and operate from the interstate. Most serial killers have very defined geographic areas of operation. They conduct their killings within comfort zones that are often defined by anchor points, such as their place of residence, employment, or residence of a relative. The fourth myth is that serial killers cannot stop killing. Some serial killers who stopped murdering altogether before being caught. In these instances, there are events or circumstances in offenders' lives that inhibited from pursuing more victims. These can include increased participation in family activities, sexual substitutions, and other diversions. The fifth myth is that serial killers are insane or are evil geniuses. serial killers suffer from a variety of personality disorders, including psychopathy, antisocial personality disorder, and others. As with other individuals, serial killers range in intelligence from borderline to average levels. Now, how do you make a serial killer? The product of their heredity, their upbringing, and the choices they make throughout development. Neglect and abuse in childhood have been shown to contribute to an increased risk of future violence. Substance abuse can and does lead to increased aggression and violence. No single identifiable cause or factor that leads to the development of a serial killer. Most significant is their personal decision in choosing to pursue their crime. Now, there are certain traits that serial killers have. Sensation seeking, lack of remorse or guilt, impulsivity, need for control, predatory behavior, glibness, superficial charm, grandiose sense of self-worth, pathological lying, manipulation of others, shallow affect, lack of empathy, failure to accept responsibility, stimulation-seeking behavior, a lack of realistic life goals, poor behavior controls, early childhood behavior problems, juvenile delinquency, and criminal versatility. Thank you all for taking time every day to become informed about this certain group of people. Although these facts and people are interesting, it is sad and disturbing to know that these individuals are out there. Hopefully by knowing some of their characteristics, it will help us avoid these people and help them get caught before they can do any more harm. Thank you.